All right, today we are diving headfirst into the loud, powerful, and frankly, kind of awesome world of industrial recycling. We're going to pull back the curtain on one of its most fascinating workhorses. Have you ever driven past a scrapyard and seen those giant, tangled mountains of metal? You know, twisted rebar, old car radiators, endless coils of cable. What on earth happens to all of that stuff? Well, you can't just throw it all into a furnace. That chaotic mess has to be tamed first. It needs to be broken down, sorted, and controlled. And to do that, you need a predator. So let's really dig into this problem for a second. Your average scrapyard is just this wild mix of all kinds of metals. We're talking long, awkward pieces of rebar, bulky aluminum parts, and really complex things like radiators, where you have different metals all stuck together. It's a logistical nightmare. And this is the solution. The answer to that tangled metal mess is a beast of a machine with the perfect name, the Alligator Shear. At its heart, it's a brilliantly simple idea. You've got this hinged jaw, just like its namesake, that's powered by a massively powerful hydraulic system. This lets it bite down with incredible force, using heavy-duty blades to just shear right through solid metal. And this is where that name just clicks into place, right? The animal and the machine both have that hinged jaw for a powerful strike. One is an ambush predator out in the swamp. The other is a scrap predator in the junkyard. It's just a perfect example of nature inspiring some serious engineering. So the whole point here is pretty straightforward. It's all about size reduction. The Alligator Shear takes that unmanageable, tangled mess and chomps it down into these neat, smaller pieces that are way easier to sort, separate, and get ready for recycling. So if this thing is an industrial predator, what exactly does it eat? You would be amazed at its appetite. Let's take a look at the menu. I mean, look at this list. It has a seriously varied diet. It'll munch through old car radiators, thick bundles of wire, and even tough stuff like reinforced rebar. But it also handles the valuable non-ferrous metals like copper and brass, and even high-strength materials like stainless steel and titanium. This thing is not a picky eater. And you know, just like real alligators, these shears come in different sizes. Their bite is all about the blade length, which usually runs somewhere between 16 and 24 inches. The size you get really just depends on what kind of scrap you're planning to feed it. Okay, so it's not just about what it can cut, it's the how. The sheer force, pun intended, is what makes this machine so absolutely essential. Get this, a model like the A600E can bring down up to 250 tons of cutting force. Now, to put that into perspective, that's like stacking more than 150 cars on a single point. That is an astronomical amount of power, and it's why it can slice through tough metals like they're nothing. And that is why all that raw power matters so much. It means efficiency. It means a scrapyard can process incredible amounts of materials super quickly. It gives them the versatility to handle pretty much anything that comes through the gate. And it's even precise enough to do valuable work, like separating brass fittings from copper tubing to make the materials worth more. So if you were in the business and you needed one of these, how would you go about picking the right shear? Because it is definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. An Alligator Shear is your go-to machine when you're processing smaller components. Basically, if you can carry it or feed it into the machine's jaw, this is your tool. Think radiators, exhaust systems, piles of aluminum parts. That's its sweet spot. But what about the stuff you can't carry? You know, like an entire car frame or an old washing machine. Well, for those massive jobs, operators will use handheld hydraulic shears instead. They offer more mobility. A lot of the time, a scrapyard will actually use both types of machines working together to handle everything. And then you have the big decision, new versus used. Look, a brand new shear gets you all the latest tech, but that's a huge upfront cost. On the other hand, a good quality used shear can save you a ton of money and might even let you afford a bigger, more powerful machine than you could if you bought new. You know, the Alligator Shear is such a perfect example of a powerful, almost hidden machine that makes our modern world work. It really makes you wonder, what other industrial giants are out there, quietly doing the heavy lifting that powers everything we do?